Yo, what's going on, guys? Koi here. This video is about how I pretty much beat the game in 12 hours. It was a stream that was supposed to be just an easy stream that was supposed to, we are supposed to run through and test out all the stat systems and stuff like that, and that's exactly what we did. So, let me discuss my findings, and pretty soon I'll be dropping a video on how to build your stats now, since this update has been very, very tiring for a lot of people in the end game. So, first things first, obviously, I have to talk about the steps that were taken in order for me to get to the end game in a day. Now, I am level 600 and something. I got my ultimate form, and I pretty much defeated every raid in the game, of course, with help, and that's where I'm going to start talking. So, you could say, hey, he was carried, but this is the important tidbit. I didn't need a carry until a very specific point in the game. Now, and that point was literally the Buu Saga. The Buu Saga was that point because I could defeat everything in the Space Saga still, even though it's like super super tanky and they all do a lot of damage. People are still feeling the way that the world modifier is. It doesn't feel like much changed. But whenever it comes down to Buu Saga, it's a whole different ball game. The bosses are super strong, and for some reason they're just a cut above the rest no matter what. And the only way you can defeat some of them is by using cheese methods that I'll be talking about in my stats guide video. There's a lot of cheese methods in the game, and honestly, the state of the game is probably not the best, and I'll be entirely real about that. Because yes, we got the new stat system. Yes, we're significantly stronger than we were before. But the problem is that there's only 5 moves in the game that everyone uses, 2 of them being one-shot moves that you can spam on raid bosses. So if you take it from that point of view, key builds literally just are used to spam and kill raid bosses. It's pretty sad. It's not the way that the game is supposed to feel or has felt in the past. In the past, you could have a full kit and still be able to kill the boss. And you'd be able to use lasers, you'd be able to use all these moves. The only problem is that that's not possible as of this moment of the recording. They only have updated rush skills, and that is it. So they're still testing key moves and everything like that. But whenever it comes down to builds, this is probably the closest that we've ever gotten to needing stats in a very specific way, not necessarily in the worst way. Um, but let's discuss. So through the Saiyan Saga, had no problem at all. Of course, defeated every boss with no stats. Then through the Namekian Saga, defeated the bosses with no stats as well. These bosses were slightly harder, but it really wasn't that big of a deal to me, and it wasn't that big of a deal at all. Android Saga, things start to ramp up, but not with the bosses, but with raid bosses having a lot more HP. Now, I talked to Gray about this, and I was like, what is the point of these raid bosses having so much HP being unkillable to a level 200? And Bobby even saw this too. And with that, they just said it is what it is. Realistically speaking, from a game standpoint, moves, the way that they have been set up is if a move is in a very specific saga, there's a high chance it's just not going to be usable in future sagas. And that's because uh, damage. Now, one of the biggest flaws in gameplay right now literally just has to do with damage. One of the damage issues that they have is with Key, because as you know, Key did not get buffed, and since Key didn't get buffed, that's like we're just stuck with Key builds being absolutely weaker than what physical builds are to this day. I'll go into more depth on how this is more effective whenever you talk about putting in stats compared to later stuff. But first things first, level comes first. So with that being the case, yeah, key builds are much weaker. Didn't go for a key build. Didn't do it with stats either. Just got the most recent move. And since raid moves, that specific raid move is Android Saga, it is considered an Android Saga move, leading it to being semi-useless in the end game as of this moment. So you could do raids, but I would suggest just getting a carry because there's no possible way that you're going to be able to use that move in a very specific and niche way. Now, that's the other part. Levels matter quite a bit because with levels, you get key and you get stamina. So with that and stamina, you have to realize that you're going to be getting so much, but only so much per area. This is the way they set it up. So certain moves like Sand Saga moves can be spammed very significantly, but other moves like Buu Saga could only be used maybe once or twice, 3 times at most, if you put some stats in. Is this a major benefactor to you using a very specific stat build? Not really, because realistically speaking, the damage difference between the moves is drastic only whenever it comes down to ultimates. After that, with basic abilities, basic skills, everything else like that, it's pretty much nigh useless. Useless at that because there's only 2 ways to play the game right now. Using specifically the break combo where you can break as a physical player break their defenses and do a lot of damage, or you can spam ultimate skills and stun moves. That's pretty much it. And I'll be going more into depth, obviously, in the next video whenever we talk about this. But so, uh, as I keep going, um, we do get further into the game. Obviously, we get to Space Saga. That's where things start to ramp up. I'm getting one shot by some bosses. Now, there is one thing that does keep you from getting one shot, and that keeps you doing damage, and it's mastering the latest form that you can obtain. You have to master forms now. It's a very, very large thing to do. You have to and must master forms in order to progress in the game. There's no, like, ifs, ands, or buts. If you have the latest form at level 300, 400, get it. Master it as soon as you can. Get your legend form if you can, because bosses are just going to be strong from that point forward. And, the Saiyan Saga, it's a whole different game. So, I mean, the Space Saga, it's a whole different game. So, once we get to Buu Saga, that's where things get nigh impossible for me. I can't damage bosses, raids are nigh impossible, and I start to take a look at things and I go, okay, what are other players doing? What am I not doing? And from stat point of view, they all had key builds and they were just spamming the latest and greatest move, which was Super Spirit Bomb that does 4 times damage of the damage of every single move in the game with mode, obviously. But since that's the case, right? What is the true end game for melee players? I figured that out. And honestly, in order for you to see that firsthand, I got to show you guys in my next video. I'll see you guys later. Take it easy. Peace out. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I hope to do this again if things change a little bit more, because obviously, now that we're getting into stats, now it's time to start making stat builds. All right. I'll take it easy, dudes. Freaking peace out.